You do not wait for the world to change. You do not beg for opportunity. You do not hope for alignment. You command it with the way you think. Everything begins in the invisible battlefield of the mind. If your thoughts are weak, scattered, uncertain, your reality will reflect confusion, delay, and defeat. But when your thinking becomes sharp, focused, and dominant, something powerful happens. The world begins to reorganize itself around your vision. You must understand this. The world does not respond to wishes. It responds to certainty. A man with a divided mind creates divided results. A person who doubts their own direction sends mixed signals into life, and life returns confusion. But the individual who locks into a single burning purpose, who refuses to entertain distraction, becomes a force that cannot be ignored. Your first task is simple, but not easy. Decide exactly what you want, not vaguely, not someday, not something successful. You must define it with precision so sharp that your mind has no escape route. When your purpose becomes definite, your thoughts begin to organize. When your thoughts organize, your actions gain power. When your actions gain power, results become inevitable. But clarity alone is not enough. You must develop absolute control over your thinking. Most people allow their minds to wander, to be influenced by fear, doubt, opinions, and temporary setbacks. That is weakness. That is surrender. You are not here to react. You are here to direct. Every thought you entertain is either building your vision or destroying it. There is no neutral ground. When fear appears, you do not negotiate with it. You replace it. When doubt whispers, you silence it with belief. When distraction calls, you return to your purpose with discipline. Because the truth is simple. Your mind is either your greatest weapon or your greatest enemy. Now listen carefully. This is where transformation happens. Thoughts alone are not enough. You must charge them with emotion. Cold ideas have no power. But when you combine thought with belief, desire, and intensity, you create something unstoppable. When you feel your vision, when it excites you, consumes you, drives you, your subconscious mind begins to accept it as reality. And once your subconscious accepts something as real, it begins to influence your actions, your decisions, and even the opportunities that appear in your life. This is how vision becomes reality, not by chance, but by inner alignment. And then comes the final test, persistence. Most people fail not because their vision is wrong, but because their commitment is weak. They stop when it becomes difficult. They hesitate when results are delayed. They quit when they are closest to breakthrough. You cannot afford that mindset. If your vision is real, you pursue it with relentless intensity. You continue when there is no evidence. You act when there is no guarantee. You push forward when everything around you suggests stopping, because persistence does something powerful. It bends reality. The world does not obey the most talented. The world does not obey the most educated. The world obeys the one who refuses to quit. So think like this. Think with clarity so strong that confusion cannot exist. Think with belief so deep that doubt has no space. Think with focus so intense that distractions lose power. Think with persistence so relentless that failure becomes impossible. And when you do this, when your thoughts, emotions, and actions align with a single vision, you will no longer chase success. Success will begin to chase you. The moment you decide exactly what you want, your life stops drifting and starts moving with force, direction, and unstoppable intention. Most people never arrive at greatness because they never choose a destination with absolute clarity. They wander between desires, entertain distractions, and dilute their energy across too many directions. But the individual who locks into a single, definite purpose becomes different. Their mind sharpens, their energy concentrates, their actions gain precision. And from that moment forward, every step begins to carry power. A definite purpose is not a casual wish. It is not something you think about when it feels convenient. It is a decision that burns inside you, demanding attention, demanding action, demanding growth. It becomes the center of your thinking. It influences how you wake up, how you spend your time, and how you respond to challenges. Without it, effort becomes scattered and results remain inconsistent. With it, even small actions begin to compound into extraordinary outcomes. Clarity creates power. When your purpose is clearly defined, your mind no longer wastes energy questioning what to do next. There is no hesitation, no confusion, no internal argument. You know where you're going, and because of that, your decisions become faster and more effective. Every choice is measured against your purpose. If it moves you forward, you accept it. If it distracts you, you reject it without hesitation. This level of mental discipline separates those who merely exist from those who dominate their path. Most people underestimate the importance of decision. They believe success comes from luck, connections, or perfect timing. But the truth is far more direct. Success begins the moment you make a firm, unwavering decision about what you will achieve. That decision sets everything in motion. It activates your focus, aligns your thoughts, and begins shaping your reality. Without decision, nothing begins. With decision, everything changes. A definite purpose also builds resilience. When you know exactly what you want, obstacles lose their power to stop you. They may slow you down, they may challenge you, but they cannot break your direction. Instead of seeing problems as reasons to quit, you begin to see them as tests of your commitment. Each challenge becomes a signal that you are moving forward, that you are being pushed to grow into the person capable of achieving your vision. Your purpose must be specific. Vague goals create vague results. If your aim is unclear, your actions will be unfocused, and your progress will be inconsistent. But when your purpose is defined with precision, your mind begins to organize itself around that goal. Ideas start to appear. Opportunities begin to show up. You start noticing paths that were invisible before. This is not coincidence. It is the natural result of a focused mind directing its energy toward a clear outcome. There is also a deeper transformation that happens when you commit to a definite purpose. You begin to change internally. Your standards rise. Your tolerance for mediocrity disappears. You become more disciplined, more aware, more intentional. You stop accepting excuses, both from yourself and from others. Your identity shifts from someone who hopes to achieve into someone who is actively becoming. This level of commitment requires courage. It demands that you take full responsibility for your life. Once you define your purpose, you can no longer hide behind uncertainty or blame circumstances. You must act, you must improve, you must persist. And that is why most people avoid it, because clarity removes escape routes. It forces you to confront your potential and either rise to meet it or fall short by your own choice. But for those who embrace it, the rewards are undeniable. A definite purpose gives your life meaning. It transforms ordinary effort into focused progress. It turns time into an asset rather than something to be wasted. Every day becomes an opportunity to move closer to something significant. Every action carries weight. Every moment matters. When your purpose is clear, your confidence begins to grow. Not because everything is easy, but because you know you are moving in the right direction. Even when results are not immediate, there is a sense of control, a sense of progress, a sense of alignment. And that feeling fuels further action, creating a cycle of growth that continues to build momentum. The world responds differently to a person with definite purpose. People recognize certainty. Opportunities align with direction. Resistance fades in the presence of unwavering focus. You begin to attract what you need, not because of luck, but because your clarity positions you to see and seize what others overlook. Everything changes when you stop drifting and start deciding. Everything shifts when you replace confusion with clarity, hesitation with commitment, and scattered effort with focused action. A definite purpose is the foundation of all achievement, the starting point of all progress, and the force that transforms intention into reality. The moment you take absolute control of your thoughts, you take command of your life, because nothing moves in your world until it first moves in your mind. Every result you experience, success or failure, confidence or fear, progress or stagnation, begins as a pattern of thinking repeated over time. Most people never realize this, and that is why they remain controlled by circumstances. They allow external events, opinions, and temporary emotions to dictate their internal state. But the one who masters thought becomes the one who shapes reality. Your mind is not meant to wander aimlessly. It is meant to be directed with precision and authority. When you leave it undisciplined, it drifts toward fear, doubt, distraction, and negativity. It replays past failures, imagines future problems, and weakens your ability to act. But when you train it, when you consciously choose what to think and what to reject, you transform it into a powerful instrument that works in your favor. Control begins with awareness. You must become alert to the thoughts that pass through your mind. Not all thoughts deserve your attention. Many are habits formed by repetition, influenced by environment, or triggered by emotion. If you accept them without question, they begin to shape your beliefs. If you challenge them, replace them, and redirect them, you begin to shape your future. A weak mind reacts. A strong mind responds with intention. When something negative happens, the undisciplined thinker immediately jumps to conclusions, assumes defeat, and reinforces limitation. But the disciplined thinker pauses, evaluates, and chooses a response that aligns with their purpose. This is not natural at first. It requires effort, repetition, and commitment. But once developed, it becomes automatic, and that is when true power begins. Your thoughts must align with your goals. If your aim is success, but your thinking is filled with doubt, you create internal conflict. This conflict weakens your actions and delays your progress. But when your thoughts consistently reflect belief, confidence, and determination, your actions begin to match that energy. You move differently, you speak differently, you decide differently, and those differences create results. Emotion plays a critical role in this process. Thoughts alone are not enough. They must be charged with feeling. When you combine thought with emotion, you impress ideas more deeply into your subconscious mind. That is where real transformation occurs. The subconscious does not argue. It accepts what is repeated with intensity and begins to influence your behavior accordingly. This is why fear can feel so powerful. It is repeated with emotion, but the same principle applies to belief, confidence, and success. You must learn to feed your mind deliberately. What you read, what you watch, what you listen to, and who you surround yourself with all contribute to your thinking patterns. If you expose your mind to negativity, doubt, and limitation, you will begin to think in those terms. If you feed it with ideas of growth, discipline, and achievement, your thinking will elevate. This is not optional. It is a law. The mind absorbs and reflects what it is given consistently. Discipline of thought also requires repetition. You cannot think positively once and expect lasting change. You must reinforce the same powerful thoughts again and again until they become dominant. This is how habits are formed. This is how belief is built. This is how identity is shaped. The thoughts you repeat daily become the foundation of who you are and what you achieve. There will be moments when your control is tested. Situations will arise that challenge your focus. People will doubt you. Circumstances will appear unfavorable. In those moments, your mastery of thought will determine your response. If you lose control, you fall back into reaction. If you maintain control, you rise above the situation and continue moving forward. You are not your thoughts unless you accept them without question. You have the ability to choose, to direct, to reject, and to replace. This ability is your greatest advantage, but it must be exercised consistently. The more you practice, the stronger it becomes. The stronger it becomes, the more influence you gain over your life. Clarity of purpose gives your thoughts direction. Emotion gives them power. Repetition gives them permanence. When these elements combine, your thinking becomes a force that cannot be easily disrupted. You begin to operate with certainty. You develop resilience. You maintain focus even when distractions appear. And over time, this level of control separates you from those who remain at the mercy of their environment. The world does not control you unless you allow it to influence your thinking. Once you understand this, everything changes. You stop blaming circumstances. You stop waiting for perfect conditions. You take responsibility for the one thing that determines everything else, your mind. Mastery of thought is not achieved in a single moment. It is built through daily effort, through conscious choice, through relentless discipline. But once you begin to develop it, you realize that nothing outside of you has the power to define your direction unless you surrender your control. The moment your belief becomes charged with emotion, it stops being a simple idea and starts becoming a force powerful enough to shape reality. Most people think belief is something passive, something quiet, something that exists only in thought. But real belief is alive. It carries energy. It influences action. It drives persistence. And when emotion is added to belief, it transforms into a magnetic power that begins to pull circumstances, opportunities, and outcomes into alignment with your vision. A weak belief produces weak results. It hesitates, questions, and collapses under pressure. But an emotionalized belief does not wait for proof. It creates its own certainty. It does not depend on external validation because it is already anchored internally. This kind of belief becomes unshakable because it is felt deeply, not just understood intellectually. Your subconscious mind responds to emotion more than logic. You can repeat a goal in your mind 1,000 times, but if there is no feeling behind it, it remains distant and ineffective. But the moment you attach desire, excitement, urgency, and conviction to that same idea, it begins to penetrate deeper levels of your mind. It starts influencing your behavior without conscious effort. You begin to act in ways that support your belief because it has become part of your internal identity. This is why fear can be so powerful. It is not just a thought. It is a thought fueled by emotion. It feels real, urgent, and convincing. It shapes decisions and limits action. But what most people fail to understand is that the same mechanism that gives fear its power can be used to build success. When you take control of your emotional energy and attach it to your goals, you create a belief system that works for you instead of against you. You must learn to generate emotion intentionally. Do not wait for motivation to appear. Do not depend on external events to inspire you. Create the feeling yourself. Visualize your success with intensity. Imagine the results as if they already exist. Feel the satisfaction, the pride, the excitement. Let that emotion grow until it becomes natural. The more vividly you experience your vision in your mind, the more real it becomes to your subconscious. Repetition strengthens this process. Each time you combine thought with emotion, you reinforce the belief. Over time, it becomes automatic. You no longer need to force it. It becomes your default state. Your mind begins to operate from a position of certainty rather than doubt. And when that happens, your actions align naturally with your belief. Doubt cannot survive in the presence of strong emotional belief. It may attempt to enter, but it will not stay, because when your belief is deeply felt, it dominates your thinking. It overrides hesitation. It silences fear. It pushes you forward even when conditions are not ideal. This is what separates those who achieve from those who only attempt. It is not intelligence or talent. It is the depth of belief backed by emotional intensity. Your environment will try to influence your belief. People may question your vision. Circumstances may appear to contradict your expectations. Results may take time to appear. In these moments, emotionalized belief becomes your anchor. It keeps you grounded. It reminds you of your direction. It prevents you from being pulled into negativity or distraction. You must protect your belief at all costs. Do not expose it to constant doubt, criticism, or negativity. Surround yourself with ideas, information, and influences that strengthen your conviction. Feed your mind with thoughts that reinforce your vision. Speak to yourself in a way that builds confidence rather than weakens it. The words you repeat, especially when combined with emotion, become commands to your subconscious mind. Action is the natural expression of belief. When you truly believe in something, especially with emotional intensity, you do not need to force yourself to act. Action becomes automatic. You move with purpose. You take initiative. You persist through difficulty because your belief makes it impossible to remain passive. It drives you forward with energy and determination. There will be times when your belief is tested. Results may not come as quickly as expected. Challenges may appear stronger than anticipated. In those moments, you must rely on the emotional foundation you have built. You must reconnect with the feeling behind your vision, strengthen it, intensify it, use it as fuel to continue moving forward. Emotionalized belief transforms your internal world and your internal world shapes your external results. When your belief is strong, your thinking becomes focused, your actions become consistent, and your persistence becomes relentless. This combination creates momentum, and momentum produces results. The world does not respond to passive desire. It responds to energy, conviction, and certainty. When your belief carries emotional power, it becomes visible in everything you do. It influences how you communicate, how you decide, and how you execute. People can feel it. Opportunities align with it. Resistance weakens in its presence. You are not limited by your current circumstances. You are limited only by the strength of your belief and the emotion behind it. Once you take control of both, you unlock a level of influence that most people never experience. You stop reacting to life and start shaping it according to your vision. The moment you commit to relentless, persistent action, you separate yourself from the majority who start with excitement but fade with resistance, because the world does not reward intention. It rewards those who continue moving when every reason to stop appears. Ideas are common. Motivation is temporary, but persistence is rare, and rarity is what creates power. Most people act only when they feel inspired. They wait for the perfect moment, the perfect mood, the perfect condition. But those moments are inconsistent, and so are their results. The disciplined individual understands a deeper truth. Action must not depend on emotion. Action must be driven by decision. When you decide to move forward, you do it regardless of how you feel, regardless of obstacles, regardless of delays. Persistence is not loud. It is not always dramatic. It is often quiet, repetitive, and unnoticed. It is showing up again when progress feels slow. It is continuing when results are invisible. It is doing the work when no one is watching and no recognition is given. This is where most people quit, not because they lack ability, but because they lack endurance. Every great outcome is built on repeated effort. Small actions executed consistently begin to accumulate. At first, the progress is difficult to see. It feels like nothing is changing. Doubt begins to appear. The temptation to stop grows stronger. But if you continue, something shifts. Momentum begins to build. The same actions that once felt insignificant start producing visible results. This is the hidden power of persistence. It transforms effort into momentum. And once momentum is created, progress accelerates. What once required intense effort becomes easier. What once felt impossible begins to feel achievable. But this stage is only reached by those who refuse to quit during the early phase when results are minimal. Obstacles are not signs to stop. They are part of the process. Every challenge you face is an opportunity to strengthen your resolve. When things become difficult, you are being tested. Your commitment is being measured. If you retreat, you confirm weakness. If you continue, you build strength. Failure is often misunderstood. It is not the opposite of success. It is a component of it. Each setback carries information. It shows you what does not work. It forces you to adjust, to improve, to refine your approach. Without persistence, failure becomes an end point. With persistence, failure becomes a stepping stone. Your environment will not always support your persistence. People may doubt your efforts. They may question your direction. They may not understand why you continue when results are not immediate, but their perspective is limited. They do not see your vision. They do not feel your purpose. And because of that, their opinions must not influence your commitment. Discipline is the foundation of persistent action. It is the ability to continue even when motivation disappears. It is the structure that keeps you moving when emotion fades. Without discipline, persistence cannot survive. With discipline, persistence becomes automatic. You must create systems that support your consistency. Set clear tasks. Define your daily actions. Remove unnecessary distractions. Make progress measurable. When your actions are structured, it becomes easier to maintain momentum. You no longer rely on willpower alone. You rely on routine, and routine builds stability. Time is a critical factor. Many people underestimate how long success requires. They expect quick results, and when those results do not appear, they lose faith. But meaningful achievement takes time. It requires patience combined with continuous effort. Persistence bridges the gap between where you are and where you want to be. There will be moments when quitting feels justified, when exhaustion sets in, when progress slows, when obstacles multiply. In those moments, you must remember why you started, reconnect with your purpose, strengthen your focus, and continue. Every step you take, no matter how small, moves you forward. Every action compounds over time. Every day of persistence builds a stronger version of you, and that version is capable of achieving what once seemed out of reach. The difference between those who succeed and those who do not is often not intelligence, talent, or opportunity. It is the willingness to continue when others stop. It is the ability to endure discomfort, to remain focused, and to keep moving forward without immediate reward. Persistence creates confidence. Each time you continue despite difficulty, you prove to yourself that you are capable. This builds trust in your own ability, and that trust becomes a powerful force that drives further action. The world responds to consistency. When you show up repeatedly, when you execute with discipline, when you refuse to quit, you begin to stand out. Opportunities begin to align. People begin to notice. Progress becomes visible. Nothing can replace persistent action. Not talent, not knowledge, not luck. Without it, potential remains unrealized. With it, even ordinary ability can produce extraordinary results. You are not defined by how you start. You are defined by whether you continue. And when you choose to persist, when you commit to action without interruption, you place yourself on a path where success is no longer a possibility, but an eventual outcome waiting to be reached through continuous effort and unwavering determination. In the end, everything comes down to this: clarity of purpose, control of thought, belief charged with emotion, and action that never stops. These are not separate ideas. They are a single force working together. When your purpose is definite, your thoughts become aligned. When your thoughts are mastered, your belief becomes unshakable. When your belief is emotionalized, your actions become powerful. And when your actions are persistent, results become inevitable. The world does not bend to hesitation. It does not respond to doubt. It does not reward those who wait. It aligns itself with those who think with certainty, believe with intensity, and act with relentless consistency. This is the standard. This is the level required to transform vision into reality. You now understand what most people never fully grasp, that everything begins within you, not outside conditions, not other people, not perfect timing. Your direction is determined by your decision. Your progress is determined by your discipline. Your results are determined by your refusal to quit. There will always be challenges. There will always be resistance. There will always be moments where the easier path is to stop. But those moments are not there to defeat you. They are there to define you. Every time you continue, you strengthen your position. Every time you persist, you move closer. Every time you refuse to surrender, you take control. Do not lower your standard. Do not weaken your vision. Do not allow temporary difficulty to disrupt permanent goals. Stay focused. Stay disciplined. Stay committed. Because when your mind is fixed, your belief is strong, and your actions are consistent, there is no force powerful enough to prevent the realization of your vision. And at that point, the world has no choice but to respond to the direction you have chosen and the power you have built within yourself.